Hello, Castle here, and we're back in the lab, my creative world, where we experiment with different mods and how they interact with each other, as well as doing some mod spotlights. So today, we're actually going to be doing a mod spotlight for one of my new favorite mods. It's still in development, but got some really good stuff. So we're going to be covering Industrial Renewal today, and it's got a lot of good stuff. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, to get started, we're going to go over some of the components. Some things that you use in industrial craft. To start off, we got this, the powered screwdriver. We use it for manipulating different things and rotating things and whatnot, but just made crafting a recipe like this. Block of redstone, a button, and 4 iron. Concrete is a block that we use for a few recipes as well as decorative. It's what I made the walls out here. I think it looks really nice. It is just 4 gravel, 4 sand in this pattern. You get 4 concrete out. Now, steel is another thing that you're going to be needing and use a lot here. So to make steel, you actually have to make this sponge iron, which is 4 coal and an iron in this pattern. Throw it in the furnace, burn it, and you get a steel ingot. And then you can see the block of steel here in the background too. So that's how you get steel. Pretty easy compared to a few other mods, but pretty nice. Now, steel saw we're going to use to create some stuff. It's just 2 sticks, 3 iron, and a steel ingot. And you can use it to cut down stone slabs to make these small slabs, which we'll be using and a few recipes to make stuff. Another component that we'll be using to make stuff is this motor. And it's 6 iron, 1 steel, a piston, and a redstone. We'll be using that in a few recipes. Next component, you'll actually need this lathe machine, which is a diamond, 2 blocks of iron, 3 iron ingots, a redstone, and a motor. Give you a lathe. Now the lathe, you need power. We're just using a creative power source here because we'll talk about power a little bit later. You'll need power in, but with power, you can take and I'll be showing this conveyor a little bit later, but we can take, it takes input on the blue side. Blue is input, orange is output, and it takes, lays it down, and turns it into iron rods. Now you can do the same with steel to make steel rods, which you will need as well. Said orange is output on this side, comes through. Alright, we're not going to listen to that this whole time. And gives you iron rods. And like I said, if we come in here, we put steel ingots in here, you get out steel rods. Okay, so moving on, a few other components are these batteries, which are made with 3 iron, 2 iron rods, and 2 redstone. You need those to create some stuff. And then these lithium batteries you actually can put into some stuff later to store energy, as well as the batteries. But it's 4 batteries surrounding a gold ingot. So that's kind of the generic components. We'll kind of go over some more as they come up later on. But we'll go ahead and move into cables and pipes. So there are 3 types of cables: low voltage, medium voltage, and high voltage. Low voltage is iron with redstone. Medium voltage is gold with redstone, but you can also surround, instead of redstone, surround it with the low voltage energy. Now you get the same out of it, so I guess it's just if you need your redstone more or your gold, but I guess it uses the same amount of redstone. In fact, probably uses more. This is probably a lot cheaper to make it this way. And then the high voltage is redstone with 4 gold and 2 diamonds. Now, same as with the other one, you can use low voltage here with gold and diamonds. So I guess if you don't have a lot of diamonds, this is a cheaper recipe, but uses more gold because of there. Anyway, so those are the different cables. This one can send up to 256 FE per tick. This one can do up to 1024 FE per tick, and this one can do 10,240 per tick. So if you have a lot of energy you gotta send, you need to use high voltage. So knowing how much this is and which ones to use can be very beneficial, because these are expensive. If you don't need, if you only need 256, then you're gonna want to use this one. Now, if you have a lot of energy producers hooked up and you're only using this, you might not be gathering all the energy you need, or that you're producing. You might just be wasting stuff. Anyway, and then this is an energy breaker. It is a medium voltage with 2 gold, an iron rod, and redstone, and you can use this to turn on and off. I'll show that over here in just a second. Next is fluid pipe, which is the small slabs that you make with the steel saw for iron ingots, and they give you pipe, 6 pipe. And again, there's a valve, so shutting off fluids, bucket, 2 steel ingots, iron rod, and redstone. Now, these are the cable trays. We'll see those right back here. They're used so you can put a fluid pipe and a energy cable in one block, which is nice. So they are just the boat pattern with iron rods. So showing off the breaker here. This is producing. Okay, let's do this. All right. So we can see if we put this on here, we are well, you have to have a flow for this to show up. So once we connect this, see, we're pumping out full, 10,240 FE per tick. So one thing to show off here is this is the trash bin. It's made of pipe, ender pearl, redstone, hopper, and then 5 iron ingots. And this just uses you to dump either fluids, items, or electricity. Actually, maybe only electricity and fluids. I can't remember. But it helps if you have excess stuff that you just need to get rid of. It helps create this flow for us to test this out. So back there. So this is the energy level indicator. It's made with a medium cable, 4 iron ingots, an iron rod, and 3 redstone. You get 2 of them. The fluid one, which does the same thing, is a fluid pipe, iron rod, 4 iron ingots, and 3 redstone. And we can use those to gauge what's in here. So as you can see, it shows us what fluid is there, what level it is at. This tank is full. I've got this fluid valve. If I turn it, I'm doing 500 millibuckets per tick. And we got this back one turned on. So as soon as I turn that off, that is now emptying, and that is filling up. And then I can turn that back on and fill the other one up. But again, if you have them open, they just flow really quick and you'll get it going. Okay, so as you can see here is the cable tray, and in one block I'm able to move the fluid pipe and the cables. Next is the pump. It pumps water up from water source, and if I turn this on here, and you can see, and turn my valve on, my water bucket starts to fill. So it is pumping water here, and there we go. Alright, we are going to take a look at power generation inside of the mod. So the first form of power generation that you're going to be making is this portable generator. Now, it's made using motor, iron bucket, and furnace with 5 iron ingots. Now it takes liquid fuel. You just put it in with a bucket, so you can use lava, for example. You can also use modded fuels such as Buildcraft oil or fuel here. As you can see, the lava is producing 32 FE per tick. It's really loud. I've got it powering a pump through here, which is only taking 10 FE per tick. Now, see, it ran out, and so I switched to oil. Still burning. Turn it off. So that's the first one. The second one we're going to look at here is steam generation. So with steam generation, we are going to be using a steam boiler to create steam. Now it requires input of water and fuel. So fuel, you can have these different attachments. So first off, the steam boiler is 3 steel ingots, 2 fuel gauges, 2 barrels, and 2 fluid pipes. Anyway, you can add either a firebox for solid fuels, which is a furnace, hopper, iron ingot, and 2 redstone, or you can add a firebox for liquid fuels, which is barrel, fluid pipe, furnace, and 2 redstone. You can just add those onto the steam boiler. Now we're going to take and add some coal in here. Coal is added to the side through hoppers or conveyor belts, or however you like. Water is full, coal's full, temperature starts rising as you put the fuel in. Coal seems to eat the coal really fast. Once it gets hot enough, it will start producing steam, to then be pumped out down into the steam turbine, which is made with 2 fluid gauges, battery pack, motor, barrel, fluid pipe, redstone, and 2 steel ingots. Now this requires steam in, then it actually puts out water. And it can store, because it has a battery pack, it can store energy here if you don't have any being output. So I've got here 18 buckets of lava, pump it in here, and now we are going to start producing here too. So see, now the temperature has gotten up, the steam is starting to rise, and we are starting to move 45, 50 megabuckets per tick, so millibuckets per tick. So it's going to start pumping up through there. The more steam it builds up, the more we'll be getting through here. This isn't quite hot enough. Oh, and they're kicked in. So now we've got enough steam built into here. It's starting to produce. You see the RPMs are going up. And once it gets high enough, it'll start producing FE, which we're immediately pumping out, so it might not store up any. Should have put a You can see with the screwdriver we can turn that direction. once this builds up speed, we'll start producing some electricity. Well, forge energy. Okay, as you see over here, we are producing 200, over 200 FE per tick. Now it's all being pumped out here. So if I was to shut that off, oh, actually, that's weird. It should be storing that energy, but it's all going. There we go. I don't know. That was weird. Must have been a glitch with the way that I had it set up, but this should be 0. Okay. And then if I click this on, jumps up. And you see it jumped up really fast because it pulled all of that energy out. The next form of power we're going to talk about is solar energy. So, to make solar panels, you need 4 lapis lazuli, 2 redstone, an iron rod, and 2 iron ingots. Now you can just place this on top of the battery pack, which we use to make the steam turbine, which we'll actually show off here in a second. And it'll start producing energy. The other thing you can do is you can build this frame. Now it is iron rods, kind of like the pants pattern, battery, and a medium voltage. It gives you 2, and you can place that solar panel on top of it, and it will double your output. And then you can just output directly from here. Now, no surprise, this is not producing anything because we are inside. So this needs to be exposed to the sun. It only produces energy during the night, or during the day. But having it up on this frame will double its output. The wind turbine. So, the wind turbine is made of 3 components. You have the pillar, which is made out of these steel pillars and an energy level indicator. It gives you 6. That's what you can stack on top. The wind turbine itself, which is 3 steel, a motor, and a steel rod. And then the wind generator blades, which is a steel ingot, 4 steel rods, and 4 iron ingots. Now, right now this is producing 96 FE per tick. This kind of fluctuates. I think it's supposed to simulate wind. Now, I don't know if it calculates open blocks in front of it. As far as I'm aware, the only thing that can change this is how high its Y value is. So the higher the Y value, the more energy it can produce. But again, it kind of fluctuates up and down. But yeah, renewable energy, good for the planet. Lastly, we're going to talk about, well, second to lastly, we're going to talk about energy storage. Industrial Renewal provides a couple blocks. So first is this battery bank, which is 4 batteries, 2 iron ingots, 2 iron rods, and redstone. And you can put battery or power into this, and it'll fill up. And when you want to pull it out, you actually need to use a screwdriver. Click on the side, and it turns to an output side. Now they have the industrial battery bank, which is a new block. It's not. So it is 4 steel ingots, a high voltage cable, energy cable, and 2 energy indicators, and a few. And then you can add. So right now it's empty, but you can add to 24 lithium batteries. So right now it says it has 0, 0, so can't store any power in there until we start adding these. And you just click them and they add up, and then we have 40 million, 50, so it goes up by 5 every time you add one of these. And I like this because it visually indicates how many are in there. That's cool because you can kind of upgrade it a little bit at a time, because these are kind of expensive. Well, not terribly expensive, I guess. Yeah, so there's we showed that recipe earlier. The last contraption on our list for power generation is the dam. So we can produce hydroelectric energy in this mod. So the dam consists of a couple different components. First, we have the dam turbine, which is 4 blocks of steel, 2 steel rods, a steel ingot, and 2 of these high pressure pipes. These are only used on the dam. You can't send normal fluids through them. And then 3 blocks of steel will give you 9 of these turbine shafts, which you can add between the dam turbine and the dam generator. As far as I'm aware, you don't need these, but if you want them to be raised up, or I don't think they actually change the function of the block, just for aesthetics, being able to extend that up. And then the dam generator is 2 motors, 2 iron rods, 4 steel ingots, and a redstone. Now, to set this up, it requires a few things. You also need a dam intake, which is 6 concrete, an iron fence, and a fluid valve, and a dam outflow, which is 6 concrete blocks, and then the valve is on the other side, and the metal gate is in the middle. So to set this up, you need to come down here. Here's the recipe for the high pressure pipe. It's 4 fluid pipes and 4 steel ingots. Now you take the dam intake, and you need to go 6 blocks on each side out, which makes it 13 blocks wide. You need to go 11 blocks up, so 10 on top of the intake, which makes it 11 blocks up, and it needs to be 10 blocks deep for this to work at its peak efficiency. So if we come up here, we'll see. We got this. It's raining. Big pool of water. It requires that much water, and those need to all be source blocks in order to have this work. So this one's really loud as well, so that's why I didn't have it all set up. The dam intake needs to be at the same level or higher than where it comes into the block here. If the dam turbine is higher, it will not function. It has to be at the same level or lower, as it's all gravity fed. And then you need to pump out water through the outtake. Now, you can click on this and it'll tell you how efficient the dam is. And the nice thing about this is, if for some reason you have another block in here that's obscuring it, we'll come back down here. That's not right. Let's try that again. There it goes. It's telling you that there are 3 blocks that are not water sources. So go in and let's have this an extra. Let's have this 12 high. Anyway, once you remove them, it'll tell you 100% efficient. Go ahead and hook this up. Immediately you can hear it kick on, and its RPMs start to increase. And you'll notice that, oh, see, now it's really picking up. The dam outflow is starting to let water out. If we come up here, we are now producing 120 or 1,024 FE per tick. Pretty cool. So quite a bit of energy. Expensive to set up, time consuming. You have to find a good spot for the water or create it. Yeah, that's 12.5. Next, we're going to go over some of the decorative blocks and that this adds. So we have these different hazard indicator blocks. They are just 6 iron ingots with different dyes in them to get the different patterns. So yellow and black, white and black, orange and white, blue and white, red and white, pink and yellow, and green and white, which they all stand for kind of different things like safety, first aid, radiation, fire, prevention, defective machinery, traffic and caution, housekeeping, and physical hazard. So just some extra blocks you can add to spice up your factory or whatever it is. Next is the concrete wall, made in the same pattern as all the other walls in Minecraft. Now it'll do this pillar on corners, and if you have something behind it, so I left that block out just to show you that you can kind of do different patterns with it or whatever. There, that's what I've used with conjunction with the concrete to kind of create these barriers between different spaces. Next we have the rail frame, which is 3 steel ingots and 4 iron rods. You can use this. I use this in the survival to kind of support your rails, so you can make some elevated platforms and things like that with that. Then we have these pillars. They are made out of 3 iron ingots and 6 iron rods. They're kind of the iron version and the steel version. But then you have the column, which is a beam. The pillars are the column. I don't know, must be a different lingo for that, but the column is 3 steel ingots and 3 iron rods. And then to make the diagonal one is just put a pillar in there and it will turn into a base beam. Now the steel is 3 steel, 6 steel rods, 12. The steel column is 3 steel ingots surrounded by steel rods instead of the iron rods. Now on this one on the diagonal, it actually has its own recipe, which is these 3 steel ingots and 4 steel rods. So I use these a lot. I like the look of them, the feel of them. Gives it kind of that industrial or under construction feel. Pretty cool stuff. Next we have the platform, which is oak wood planks, iron rods, and a pillar. And you can see they're intelligent, so when you have another block that connects to them, the railing goes away, and you can kind of move the platform around in different patterns, and it'll intelligently create the railing for you. Next, we have the different catwalks. Now we have the iron or normal kind of catwalk, and then the steel version. So the stairs are iron fence and iron rods. If we come up here, the catwalks are iron fence across the bottom and 2 iron rods. Gives you 4. As with the platform, the railings are intelligent, so you have them all lined up like this, the railings will be on the outside. It leaves an opening for stairs. If a ladder's coming up through it, leaves out the floor, which is nice. You don't have to worry about adding extra railing or whatnot. Now, if you do need to add extra railing, the recipe is right here. Handrail is 7 iron rods and an iron ingot. The ladder is 4 iron rods, 2 iron ingots, and 3 ladder. And then this little gate here is 2 iron ingots and 6 iron rods. Now, with these, you can also use the hand screw gun. You can change what side the railing is on. Same with the gate. You can use the screw gun to change the orientation of all things. But you can also use it on here. It's hard to aim it. Well, maybe it doesn't work for this one. It's supposed to take the railing off of here. If you aim it right at the edge. I know it works for the steel one, so we'll go there. Maybe. Oh, there you go. You have to aim on the outside. So you can even make the floor disappear, which is not what we want. There we go. So you see, yeah, you have to aim on the outside of it. Sorry. Let's get rid of some of this. Then you have the steel variety, which is very similar, just with steel rods instead of iron rods. Same with the Catwalk. And same with the stairs. So we still use iron rods and then steel ingots instead of iron ingots. And the fence is the same thing. It still uses iron rods, but has a steel ingot instead of the iron ingot. Now there isn't a gate version for this one. I don't know if they plan on adding it later or not. Yeah. With the another thing to note with the ladders is if you place it on the ground first and the next one above it, it will leave the cage off of it for you, and then you can hop in and it'll build the cage up for the rest of the ladders up. Don't think. Oh yeah. Or you can add or remove the cage with the screw. Anyway, so you can get on the ladder easily. So that is the catwalks. Next, we're going to talk about a few miscellaneous things, including the floors and the roof. So let's talk about the roof first. It is 4 small slabs and 4 iron rods. Now, the orientation of how you lay this down is important. So you can have these face any which way. If the ridge goes the same direction, so this is flipped 180 from that one, it will create these kind of trusses across here as you place your roof. Now they have to be kind of facing either 180 from each other or whatever. Because as soon as the grooves go this way, it does the braces this way. So I really like that. Like I said, I use it up here. I use it on a lot of my builds. I think it looks really cool. Has a nice aesthetic, and I like how it intelligently builds these trusses as you move your roof across. So if you want your trusses going this way, you just make sure the grooves, so the trusses are always going to be perpendicular with the grooves. Next thing is this gutter. So the roof, it's 3 buckets and 3 iron rods. And this will actually collect rain during when it's raining. If you add a pipe down to it, you can actually fill up barrels or whatever during rain. So it's pretty cool. Let's talk about these lights real quick before we get to the floor. So we have this exterior light, which is iron ingot, 2 iron nuggets. 2 iron ingots, 2 iron nuggets, and a glowstone. And then the pendant or fluorescent light is 5 iron ingots, an iron rod, and 3 glowstone. And that's these here. Now you can have it just look like a pendant light, or you can tie them together to look like the fluorescent lights, and they will actually attach to the block above, and they line up and work perfectly with the trusses in there. So it's pretty slick how they've put that together. And if you see here, it kind of breaks a little bit, but anyway, those are the lights now. We'll come back to that in a second. I got some cable tray here to show off kind of how this different ways you can do the cable tray that we talked about earlier, but also let's talk about the floors. So there are 3 iron fins and 3 iron ingots. Now I love the floors in this, and when I was trying to learn more about the mod, I kind of had to experiment because there's very few tutorials out there, and most of them are in Russian, which I don't speak Russian. Now, watching through, I didn't get a lot on the floors. I think they can do a lot more than people understand. So the floors, their kind of basic thing is you can add pipes or energy cables into them. So say we grab this energy cable, I click on the floor, it embeds in the floor, click above, and I can pull it up. So you can have this, laid out throughout your shop or whatever, and you can run the cables through the floor instead of having to run them all the way down. So it's similar to the cable trays, right? You can have a floor and either a pipe or a energy cable occupying the same space. Now, unlike the cable tray, you cannot have pipe and fluid in the same spot on the floor, which is nice that the cable tray can do that, but still nice. So you can things that you can embed in here that I've been able to discover are the energy cables, the fluid pipes, and actually this fluorescent light. If you embed it, it kind of looks like this, which is what I kind of used to light up my floor throughout the lab here. But another cool thing is you can actually have this be a couple layers thick. Now this is the hatch. It is kind of the boat pattern with iron rods, 2 iron ingots, and a ladder on top like that. And if you place this on a floor, so let's grab one of these, not ladder, it actually allows you to go through the floor. Now, I've got a ladder underneath there so we can actually get down. And you can actually walk inside of the floor, which is pretty cool. Now this is a little tricky to do, and when you're trying to place stuff in here, you got to be kind of careful, because if you break the floor, it's kind of a pain. But you can see here, I can bring the pipe down. Now I'm actually standing in floor blocks. But you can bring your pipes down or your energy cables down, and you can kind of route them through. And this is kind of like your maintenance area. You can see the lights here. Now these kind of lit up spots are actually have lights embedded in them too. It's just they don't graphically show it unless it's at the top. Now the screw gun, I couldn't get to do anything inside of here, so I don't think it does anything. But yeah, so when you're placing stuff in here, you can kind of see it's showing me a little square, that little black square, so you gotta be careful. That's where it's gonna place it. So, and right there on the floor ones, you gotta aim it at the floor. Alright, so it's a little tricky when you're down in here, so just be careful there. There's lots of cool ideas you can do this. For example, I made it where it's kind of this secret access tunnel under here. Come up, and we've just got another decorative block in here, which is the Employee of the Month award, which is just a sign and a painting. And then to get the different things, you just actually, that's not what you do. You just put the Employee of the Month in there, and you can craft this one or on to the next one. And that's how you get these other ones. I'm assuming these are contributors to the mod. It's just their profile picture or whatever. Anyway, one more decorative block. This was pretty cool. I think the floors, quite a bit of cool things you can do with this. Alrighty. Close up our secret area. Alright, next we're going to talk about the conveyor belts now, or sorry, the bulk conveyors. These are a pretty cool block. And this took me a little bit to figure out as well. So the crafting recipe is 3 iron ingots, 2 iron rods, 3 leather, and a motor. And you can drop items into this by adding them to the end. So for example, I can set up this hopper and it would dump into the end of the conveyor. You can't go into the sides, just the end. Or by adding a hopper onto the conveyor, it actually changes the model and uses it all in one space. And there's a little kind of hopper in here. You can then, for example, we can drop these in here and you run along the conveyor. Now if you add a dispenser in the conveyor, then it goes on the end here and it can deposit into inventories. So you can see I can drop this here and it'll go out. It's nice. Now they can come up, they can go down. Now, unlike the hopper, you can have a conveyor feed into the side of another conveyor, and it will just move it along. So we'll come dump the iron ingots here. They'll run up, and they'll move out. And now, if there's not a dispenser on the end, they will just hop out. Or if there's a block blocking this here, it'll just sit on the conveyor belt. And as you kind of saw as I was trying to fight it, if you jump on the conveyor belt, it'll speed you along. So you maybe can make some escalator sidewalk things with this if you want. And that's the conveyor system. Yeah, the big thing to remember here is you can add the hopper and the dispenser onto it to make these different functionalities. Next we have the bunker hatch, which is a 3x3 hatch, which you can use. The entrance to the lab has one of these. Pretty cool looking. Nice little bunker. I found I have to put this block behind here though, because otherwise because I can't have this block here, otherwise you just hit it on your way down. I guess if you opened it up and had a ladder or something down here, it might be different. Anyway, that is the bunker. Now, there are a couple wearable items in this mod. There is the safety helmet, which is small slab, leather cap, and a yellow dye. and it has extra toughness to your head. And you have the safety belt, which is 6 leather and the lead, and it gives you fall protection, I believe. Let's try this. Yeah, feather falling. Gives you feather falling 4. And then okay. Now the safety helmet gives you protection 4. Anyway, as those. We have these med kits, which is a gas tier, 6 paper and 2 strings. If you have them in your inventory, you can right click with them. They heal you quickly. Then there's this first aid kit, first aid box, which is a chest, 6 iron rods, and you can actually store, if you crouch, you can store med kits in here, and I believe if you get hurt, you can just click on it and it heals you. Next we have the fire extinguisher, which if we shift click or crouch click, we can pick it up. It can be put on the ground or on the wall. If you put it on the wall, it adds the cool little bracket it adds with it. Now the fire extinguisher can put out fire in a 3x3 area, which is pretty nice. If it's used on lava, for example, if it's used on lava, it will create cobblestone and or obsidian. So that is the fire extinguisher. We have the chunk loader. It's kind of your standard chunk loader. 4 redstone blocks, an observer, ender pearl, and 3 steel ingots. Pretty cheap. It's a little villager stuck in the box. A little lock on it. If you use the steel saw on any music disc, it will give you the royal entrance. Next we have the multi-record player, which is 5 glass, an iron rod, and a jukebox. Now with this, you can have multiple different discs in here. You can play them. So that's the new one. You can switch like this, or you can hit stop. Nice little knobs and whatnot on it. Oh. I don't know if those are interactable. Nope, I don't think so. Next we have the bunk beds. There's a bed with iron rods on either side. And as you stack them up, it starts creating ladders, and it's pretty cool. Next we have the chimney, netherrack with a U-shape iron ingot. It's just adds these smoke particles, so no more having to do the kind of cobwebs up or whatever. You can actually have some smoke particles coming out of your chimney. Next we have the hazard sign, which is a sign, 2 iron rods and 2 iron ingots. And you can place it on a wall like this or on the ground. And if you control right click with the screwdriver, you can change between these 3 different signs. Scaffolding, iron rods and oak planks. Looks really nice. Some of the other stuff, the railing, which you fall right off, so don't be deceived. Intelligently changes depending on the scaffolding around it. Just like real scaffolding, if you break the bottom one, the other ones fall. If you hit on the side, it builds itself up. Anyway, I think it looks really cool. I like the models that seems they put time into this. The mod creators. Next we have these lockers, which is the pants pattern with iron rods and chest, and we have a little locker. Now they don't connect together like chests, they're just individual storage units, but have a nice aesthetic to them. Continuing on with storage stuff, we have the storage rack. Now there's two varieties of the storage rack. There is the crate version and the chest version. The chest version I can open up. That must be a bug or something, but can hold quite a few items, as you can see. And I believe, let's see. I think if you add more on top, that actually we can connect to them in the same inventory. So if we go here and then add another one on top, come in here. Yeah, see, it adds, continues to add. So if you stack these on top, you can access them all in the same inventory. Now the crate one, I'm clicking and I can't access the inventory. The only way it is to put it in with some sort of piping system, as far as I understand. So if I come in here, I put some iron ingots, so across, and you'll see it shows iron ingots. Now, that's the other part about this, is it can only hold one kind of item. So if I try to put some steel ingots in here, so they'll come across, and they are actually still just sitting in this dispenser waiting to come out. They won't go in there. Now I can't, if I try to put them in here, doesn't work either. I have to go in through this system now. I think this will just sit and wait for that's how you add the dispensers and the hoppers. So I come in here and drop a hopper. And if I drop the hopper on there, adds it like that. And I can come, anyway, so that's how those work. There might be some other tricks with this that I'm not aware of, but it also adds inventory on there like that. As you see, it now says out of 8,192. Okay. So we also have this fluid tank for storing fluids. I don't know if we went over the recipe here. Recipe is very similar. H pattern of iron rods and 2 chests. And to get the crate, you just put in the chest one and it creates the crate. Now I believe you can actually go back to the chest one if you want. So it's another recipe for the chest. Now these fluid tanks are 2 barrels, 4 steel ingots, 2 pillars, and a fluid gauge. What it tells me, it's got 0 out of 640. Now I can actually come on here, so it's got an input on the top and an output here on the front. Now these you can continue to add on, and you see it doubled. It'll go by 640 every time, right? So you can make these as tall as you want, and they will be contained. This tank will hold different amounts depending on how many tanks you have stacked on top. These are the ultra high voltage transformers. They're used to take in energy from the energy cables we have and to transport them at for large amounts, right? So we can take and transform them over, or sorry, send them over these high voltage wires over long distances for a lot cheaper, right? So we've got this creative generator. It's pumping in over 10,000 FE per tick. The recipe for this is right here. It is the coil wire, iron ingots round, and the isolator. The isolator is made like this: 2 steel ingots, 2 green terracotta, and 3 small slabs. And the wire is just 3 steel wire and an oak. And then you basically put these isolators down. You can create kind of power lines with these. Now, the wires are working really good right now, but sometimes with my shader pack on, they sometimes don't draw correctly, but they're working for us nicely today, probably because they're all at the same level and not going very far. I believe you can move these 64 blocks is the max distance from one isolated to the other. You just take the coil and you click on that one and connect. Now by default these are output, but on the other end that you want to be receiving, you just need to put a redstone signal into this little red button there. And if I turn this off, see, if I turn it off, it says we're not receiving any, nothing is flowing, because it needs somewhere to go. But I turn it to receiving, jumps back up because we are producing here, pumping, transforming, going over the wire, transforming it back, and going over the cable. Right. Now these high voltage energy cables, can send the same amount as these, but these are very expensive, whereas this wire is relatively cheap and can move. One strand of wire can move over the 64 blocks, which makes it a lot cheaper, right? There are a few redstone enabled devices in the mod pack as well. There's this industrial alarm, which is a note block and a lever. The emergency button, which is a button, small slab and 2 redstone. The signal indicator, which is on, but should not be. Okay, so we got glitch. Which is iron ingot, iron rod, and redstone. Now, the emergency button, its default state is off. So I open it up, it turns on, the alarm turns on, and the signal indicator turns on. So it's just like a switch, the on-off state. Next we have this entity detector, which is ender pearl, redstone, and 3 iron rods. Now you can set the distance, what kind of entities it detects, which is pretty nice. So if I set this just to players, if I come within 1 block, and you can see it's outputting a redstone signal. Another thing we have is the rain sensor, which is just like it sounds, with 3 small slabs, 3 iron ingots, and redstone. When it's raining, it puts out redstone on each side. Now, obviously, it's not going to turn on here because we're indoors. Next, we have the traffic light, which is the patterns here. 2 iron, 3 glowstone, redstone, and then a die for each of the colors here. Now, if I put one of these, you can see that it changes the light depending on the strength of the redstone signal. So if it's got 0 to 3 redstone signal, it'll do red. 4 to 9 yellow, 10 to 15 green. So we'll use this other part here to demonstrate that. As you can see here, we've got the fuse box, which we used earlier, which is just a chest, 6 iron rods, and 2 redstone. This fuse box extension, 2 iron rods and redstone, and the connector, which is 3 iron and 2 redstone, which you can put this extender down, and then connector is what input and outputs the signal, right? Blue input, yellow output. Now, inside of this fuse box, we can add cartridges. So the cartridges are made with this pattern here: redstone block, 2 redstone, and 6. And it gives you the plus cartridge, which then you can put it in a crafting table to get the minus, which then you can put in a crafting table to get the half, which then you can craft in the double, the inverter, and then all the way back to plus. So that's how you get the other cartridges, is they use the same crafting recipe. You just craft them through until you get the ones you want. Now you can add these in there in different combinations, and it shows you what's going on here. So for example, you have 14 redstone signal in, and we're outputting 7 because I've got a half cartridge. So if I undo my empty hand, crouch, turn this on, see it turns on the output, and we are now yellow because we are in the 4 to 9 range because it's outputting 7. So this is 7, this is 8, and 8 is what it's getting. Now, if I turn this off, don't try to take out the cartridge while it's on, otherwise it'll shock you. Now, with that out, we're 14 in, 14 out. And because it's getting the 10 to 14 or 15 range, it is green. So you can use a combination of these different multipliers here, inside of here, and you can output different redstone signals. Okay, next we have the mining drill. Now this is another awesome addition. Basically you set this up on the surface, get it set up and turn it on, and it will pull the ores. It adds a little mining animation, but then it just pulls the ores up from below you. Now the crafting recipe for this is hopper, pump, motor, 4 steel pillars, and a fuse box. Now you need to load different drills in here. We have the basic steel drill, which is the pattern of steeling. It's like this. The diamond drill, which is 4 steel and then 2 diamonds on the end. And then you have the deep drill, which is 2 diamond blocks, a diamond, and 4 steel blocks. Very expensive. And this one only mines on deep veins. Now, to find deep veins, you need a prospecting pen, which you can go around the world and click it on dirt, sand, any of that kind of stuff, and it will, you click on it and then you right click again, and it will tell you if you found a deep vein at that spot. So go around looking for deep veins, put this over it. The deep veins have a lot more ore. You need to have this deep vein drill to mine it. But anyway, it's the 5 string and 4 wood. Now I've got this set up. I have it turned off because the pump is loud, but it looks like we have enough coolant. So, as you can see, it gives us some information here. We are surface mining because we don't have the deep drill. It says vein size 0, but it'll locate some here in a second when I turn this on. So we're gonna flip the switch here. Let's see, it changed the vein size to 763. 62, it mined one. Getting very loud, but it is mining a coal from beneath us. Turn that off because it's really loud. But as you can see, it's working. The drill has durability, which is shown here. If it gets too hot, I think it just stops working. So you need to make sure you've got coolant coming in to keep it cool. And then it tells you how much it is consuming, which is quite a bit. Anyway, that's the mining drill. Pretty cool addition. I'm glad they added that. I hate having big old holes in my world, so this is nice that it just mines it right here and pulls the ore out from beneath it. Next, we have the electric fences. So for the electric fence is just 2 iron rods, kind of like a fence pattern. And then the gate is the inverse, iron ingots with the iron rod in the middle. If I touch against this, it will shock me. There's a gate. Oh, you gotta be careful going through the gates. You can do double gates. You can do double high double gates or double high single gates. Yeah. Keep your base safe. Keep the mobs out. Next we have the big fence. So we have the column, which is steel ingots and iron rods, which is the column here. Ouch. Sorry. And then you have the big fence, which is the iron rods and the steel ingot like this. And they shock you as well. Ooh, shock me back and forth. And then to do the corners, we have, you put the column in here and it'll craft out the corner, and then the column again to get the inner corner. And then I wanted to show you here that you can stack these gates up in uneven ways and they will still open doubly like that, which I thought was interesting. Anyway, last but not least, we're going to cover the different carts and rail stuff that this mod adds. So, going over the rails, it kind of has this 3D rail look, which I think looks really nice without having the huge multi-block rails or whatever. It's kind of a vanilla plus kind of feel, right? And it's just taking a vanilla track and it crafts out the 3D rail. Same with the booster track. This is a crossing rail track. It makes the carts honk when they pass. It is detector rail, regular rail, and a no block. Detector rail is just adding the normal one in. This is the transfer rail. It is a booster rail, steel ingot, and redstone. We will use those here when we're transferring stuff. We'll take a look at that in a second. We have the rail gate, which is 2 doors, iron doors, 3 iron rods, and a rail. And now I've got the thing out here because it has to have the redstone signal right here, but I can, these aren't actually occupying this block here. So I put the redstone right there instead of having the switch right there. Anyway, by applying a redstone signal, you can open or close that. It's nice if you don't want to have a warehouse or something that this goes into. And then last type of rail is the buffer stop rail, which is 2 steel ingots and 2 iron rods with 3 rails along the bottom. Now, besides rails, it also adds these different carts. Your basic one is 3 mine carts, gives you a flat cart. which doesn't really do much. I mean, you can use it, but you can't add anything or whatever to it. It's basically the base for all these other carts. So here we have a cargo cart, which is basically a flat cart, 4 steel ingots, and a chest. And you can use it like a chest, right? Like a chest cart. You have the bulk cargo, which, as far as I understand, has no different capacity. It just has a different look to it. It has the chest in the middle and steel rods instead of steel ingots. You have the fluid tank cart, which is 2 iron rods and a barrel. We have the log cart, which only accepts wood log, but it's pretty cool. It adds the physical logs in here, depending on how many you have. So the more you add on here, the higher the stack gets, or the less the stack gets, which I think is pretty cool. And then you have the passenger cart, which is the flat cart with 3 sticks, 3 wooden slabs, and 2 planks. And you can write in here like you would. Oh. Ooh, it's really sensitive. Anyway, you can link these carts together using a wrench. The only problem is, come over here, the wrench, to the rail one, does not have a crafting recipe. So it is only accessible in creative. But just to show you how that works, similar to Railcraft, you shift click, and then it couples them together. Yeah. Of course it failed. Yeah, it's not gonna move because it's not drags. I guess you can use this to pull the train wherever you want to go. Anyway, they have this tender cart, and they have, if you come to their work in progress, they have the steam locomotive, but it is currently still a work in progress. So I'm not going to show it here. I had it in here, and I don't know if the game crashed because of the locomotive, but it doesn't have a crafting recipe, and still is being worked on. Anyway, these carts look fantastic, I think. They work with, for example, you can use the item and fluid loaders from Railcraft as well on these, and vice versa. The Railcraft carts work with these item loaders. So the last thing we're going to cover here is these loaders. So we have a fluid cart transfer and a cargo cart transfer. Now, the cargo cart transfer, you have to actually add the rails kind of in the middle of the block. And you have to use these transfer rails. Now, if I come on here, I can set these to loaders or unloaders, and then when it allows the cart to go through. So no activity means if it comes in and empty and I have inventory, it'll stop it until there's either no inventory or the cart is too full. Never means it'll not ever let it go until I manually do something. Cart full means it'll wait and keep loading it until the cart is full. Or cart empty, which is for the unloader. Or again, no activity. That way, if it only has a few things, you don't want it to sit and wait, you can just do that. And the exact same thing with the fluid loader and unloader. I've got some steam going back and forth here. You can do activity, never, cart full, cart empty, right? So I've got this just going around a loop. It unloads here, pumps up into here, loads the cart. This unloads the solid cart follows along, loads a solid cart here. Anyway, that is just about everything inside of Industrial Renewal. I hope this was helpful. Like I said, I couldn't find a lot of different tutorials out there. The mod owner does have a few basic ones on how to set up the couple of the power generations, but hopefully you'll find this helpful. If there's anything I missed or any other questions or comments, please feel free to leave a comment and I'll try to get back to you. And feel free to check out my survival series that I have been working on. I use quite a few of the industrial renewal stuff in there. So thank you for watching, and hope you have a wonderful day.